This is the story of Hana, a jobless graduate who rose from silence to digital success when no one expected it. In the crowded streets of Addis Ababa, a young woman named Hana stood silently among the noise of taxis, the dust of the road, and the weight of her thoughts. She held a folder pressed tightly against her chest, full of job applications that no one would read, dreams that no one seemed to care about, and a degree that had started to feel more like a burden than a blessing. For 3 long years after graduation, Hana walked these streets with hope slowly slipping through her fingers, wondering if all her hard work had meant nothing. But what she did not know was that one unexpected moment in the most unlikely place would soon turn her whole life around. Hana was born in a quiet village near Wolaida in southern Ethiopia. Her family was poor, like most in her community, but they were warm, hardworking, and full of faith. Her father worked as a daily laborer while her mother sold firewood and cooked injera to support their children. There was never enough money, but there was always talk of something greater: education. Hana's father believed deeply in learning, even though he himself had never finished primary school. He would say to her, "If you walk far enough with your mind, your feet will follow." From the time she could speak, Hana knew that school was her only door out of poverty. As a child, she would walk several kilometers barefoot to attend class. She borrowed old books from neighbors, studied by the light of a kerosene lamp, and refused to let hunger distract her from her goal. When her friends were playing, Hana was reading. When others were resting, she was memorizing vocabulary words. Her teachers saw her determination and often encouraged her, saying she was one of the few who might make it to university. And they were right. After years of dedication, tears, and sacrifice, Hana passed the national exam and was accepted to Hawasa University to study marketing. The day she received her acceptance letter was the proudest moment of her life. Her entire village celebrated. Her father cried. Her mother knelt and gave thanks. It felt like a new chapter was opening, full of promise. University was a different world. For the first time, Hana experienced internet cafes, city buses, and dormitories filled with voices from every corner of the country. She studied hard, made new friends, and grew confident in her passion for branding, communication, and business strategy. She dreamed of working in a big advertising agency one day, maybe even starting her own company that helped Ethiopian products reach the world. Her professors praised her creativity and strong presentations. By the time she graduated, she had glowing grades and a head full of ideas. But reality did not greet her the way she had imagined. After graduation, Hana returned home expecting at least a few interviews or internships, but weeks passed, then months. She sent out over 50 job applications. She heard nothing. She knocked on office doors, followed up with emails, and even offered to work for free. Still nothing. Some told her she lacked experience. Others simply ignored her, and over time, the silence grew heavier. Her family, once proud and excited, began to ask hard questions. Why haven't you found anything yet? Wasn't the degree supposed to help? What good is education if you are still sitting at home? Hana tried to stay positive, but inside she was starting to fall apart. She felt ashamed to walk around town. People looked at her differently now. The girl who went to university was back with nothing to show. Even her younger siblings seemed disappointed. To survive, Hana started selling tea at taxi stations. Every morning, she would wake up before sunrise, boil water, pack thermoses, and walk to a busy corner near the main road. She earned just enough to buy food and a bit of phone credit. She used that data to keep checking job sites, LinkedIn posts, and government vacancies. But it was always the same. Requirements she couldn't meet, salaries too low to matter, or deadlines already passed. The dream was fading. She barely recognized herself anymore. Her degree stayed in a folder under her bed. She stopped telling people what she had studied. She stopped talking about her goals. It hurt too much. Her thoughts grew darker, her prayers shorter. She wondered if she had wasted her life. Then one ordinary afternoon, something unexpected happened. She was resting at home after a long morning of tea selling. Her phone buzzed. Out of boredom, she opened Telegram and scrolled through the usual channels: news, job boards, and gossip. Then, she noticed something strange. A public group she had never joined before was trending. It was titled Digital Marketing Africa. Curious, she tapped on it. Inside, dozens of people were chatting in English and Amharic, asking questions, sharing screenshots, talking about clients, campaigns, and remote work. One message caught her eye immediately. A user from Kenya had posted, "I just closed my second client on Upwork, $200 this week. Digital marketing is changing everything for me." Hana blinked. Upwork? Clients? $200 in a week? She kept reading. Someone else responded with tips about using Canva to create social media graphics. Another person shared a free Google course link. The whole chat was buzzing with energy, advice, and encouragement. Hana sat up. These weren't rich people. They sounded like her. Africans, young people, ordinary students and dropouts, figuring out how to earn online with the same internet she had in her pocket. Her heart started to beat faster. It felt like something had just cracked open. She didn't say anything in the group, not yet. She just read. She scrolled for hours. She clicked every link. She saved videos and took screenshots. That night, for the first time in months, Hana didn't cry. She didn't feel stuck. She felt curious. She felt alive. That one Telegram group changed everything. The next morning, Hana woke up before the sun. But for the first time in a long while, she wasn't tired. She wasn't dragging her feet to boil tea water. She sat at the edge of her bed, holding her phone like it was something sacred. She opened Telegram again and went straight into the digital marketing group. The messages had continued through the night. People were sharing tools, stories, lessons, struggles. It wasn't just noise, it was movement, and Hana wanted in. She found a message that listed 10 free courses for beginners, YouTube links, Google certificates, and free PDFs. She copied them all into a small notebook. That same day, in between selling tea to passengers and arguing with stubborn drivers, she started watching one of the videos. It was about how Facebook ads work. She had learned the theory in university, but this was different. This wasn't a test question. This was someone walking through real campaigns, showing how they created content that sold products. She was hooked. For the next few weeks, Hana had a new routine. Every day after her small tea business, she would go home, charge her phone, and use the little data she could afford to keep studying. She didn't tell anyone what she was doing. Not yet. It still felt fragile, like a dream that could break if touched too soon. But her mind was waking up again. She was remembering things she had learned in school: target audience, value propositions, branding strategies. Except now it wasn't just theory. It was alive. One day, someone in the group asked, "Can anyone help me design a basic social media calendar for my small shop? I can't pay, but I'll give you credit." Hana's fingers trembled. She had never replied in the group before, but something pushed her. She typed, "I studied marketing and would love to try. Please let me know what kind of business you have." Then she hit send. The reply came within minutes. A woman from Nairobi ran a small online beauty shop and needed help planning her posts for the week. Hana had never done that professionally, but she opened a notebook and started scribbling ideas. She used Canva to design sample posts. She looked at similar brands online and copied the structure. 2 hours later, she sent her draft. The woman was impressed. Not perfect, but promising. She thanked Hana and posted a message in the group, giving her credit and saying, "This girl is sharp. You should work with her." That message changed everything. Suddenly, people started noticing her. A few others messaged her privately, asking if she could help with small things: caption writing, product descriptions, Instagram ideas. No one was offering money yet, but she didn't care. Every request was a classroom. Every reply was a chance to grow, and she was hungry to grow. She created a free Gmail account and opened a Google Drive folder for her work. She built a small portfolio, just screenshots and PDFs of the things she had helped with. She created an Instagram page called Hana Digital, where she posted tips about branding, content creation, and marketing in Amharic. At first, only 10 people followed her, but she kept posting. She wasn't trying to be famous, she was trying to be consistent. Then came her first paid opportunity. A man from the group who owned a small jewelry business in Addis messaged her. He had seen her work and said he needed help managing his Instagram page. Nothing fancy, just 3 posts per week and some captions. He asked how much she charged. Hana had never thought about that. She froze for a moment. Then she replied with a number that scared her. $50 per month. The man replied, "Okay, send me your account number." Hana stared at her screen for a long time. $50. More than she had made in weeks of selling tea, for doing something she loved. She cried quietly. Not because of the money, but because it finally felt like she mattered again. Like her education wasn't wasted, like she was not invisible. She kept learning. Every night, she studied something new. SEO, email marketing, how to write product copy, how to understand analytics. She watched case studies from India, Nigeria, the US. She didn't just want to survive anymore. She wanted to become excellent. Word of mouth started working for her. One client referred another, then another. A small online shop in Kenya, a bakery in Bahir Dar, a diaspora-owned fashion brand in Sweden. All small projects, but enough to keep her going. She upgraded from a borrowed phone to her own used smartphone. She bought a second-hand laptop from a Telegram seller. She even paid for her own monthly Wi-Fi package. She was building something real. Her family didn't understand at first. They would ask, "What kind of job is that? Are you sure these people are real?" But when she started buying groceries without asking for help, when she paid for her brother's school uniform, when she stopped selling tea and started spending hours typing in front of a screen, they began to see. They didn't know what digital marketing was, but they saw that Hana was changing. One day, she sat down and calculated her income from the past 3 months. It totaled more than she had imagined, just over $300. That was more than some entry-level jobs in Addis, and she had done it from her own room, with no office, no boss, and no formal company. Just her mind, her internet, and her willingness to try. She started organizing her work better. She created client folders, used Notion to track her tasks, and even designed a one-page rate card. She watched videos on how to write professional emails, how to pitch, how to negotiate. She was becoming a businesswoman, quietly, confidently. She returned to the same Telegram group where it all began and posted a message. "I started here with nothing but a degree and curiosity. Today, I have 5 clients and a growing brand. If you're new, don't be afraid to ask. Don't wait for permission. Learn, try, share. You never know who's watching." Dozens of people replied, some congratulated her, others asked how they could start. A few messaged her privately, saying, "Your story gives me hope." That was when Hana realized she was no longer just a learner. She was becoming a guide. The months passed and Hana's world kept expanding. What once started as silent scrolling in a Telegram group had grown into a real freelance career. She was no longer guessing her way through the process. She had systems now, routines, and a rhythm to her days. Mornings were for client work, afternoons for study, evenings for managing her page, and answering messages from new followers who wanted to learn from her journey. For the first time in her life, Hana felt like she was in control of her time. Her Instagram page, Hana Digital, had grown from 10 followers to more than 2,000. Most of them were Ethiopians and Africans just like her. Young, struggling, educated, and uncertain about what came next. She didn't try to act like an expert. She just told the truth. She posted what she learned, what she failed at, how she got her first client, and how she still battled fear sometimes. That honesty made her stand out. While others showed polished lifestyles, Hana showed the process, and the process gave people hope. One afternoon, while checking her Telegram messages, she saw a new name pop up in her inbox. A woman named Lydia, an Ethiopian entrepreneur living in Germany, had been following Hana's posts and was impressed by her clarity and voice. Lydia ran a clothing brand that sold African fashion across Europe and needed someone to handle content strategy and digital campaigns. She had worked with big agencies before, but said none of them felt as grounded or relatable as Hana. She wanted something real, something local, but global. She offered Hana a paid monthly contract. It was more than Hana had ever made in a single month. That night, Hana didn't sleep. She lay on her bed staring at the ceiling, her mind racing. Could she really do this? This was no small job. It would involve brand planning, campaign writing, email sequences, and weekly performance tracking. She had studied all of those pieces separately, but this was the first time someone was trusting her to bring it all together. She wanted to say yes. She also didn't want to fail. The next morning, she replied with calm words and a steady voice, even though her hands were shaking. She accepted the offer, asked for details, and promised to send a proposed strategy within 3 days. She spent the next 72 hours fully focused, researching fashion trends, analyzing the brand's current pages, drafting content plans, and building a sample email campaign. She designed everything herself. When she sent the final document, she whispered a prayer and waited. Lydia replied the next morning with one word: brilliant. From that day on, Hana was no longer just a beginner freelancer. She was working with international brands, managing budgets, setting goals, and tracking performance. She wasn't just creating content anymore, she was creating impact. And clients were noticing. One by one, referrals began coming in. A candle shop in Canada, a hair care brand in Nairobi, a small ebook author from the US who wanted Amharic-speaking readers. Her digital skills had become a bridge, and people were walking across. But with growth came pressure. There were moments when she felt overwhelmed. Too many projects, tight deadlines, confusing client feedback. Some nights she cried again, not from hopelessness this time, but from exhaustion. There were times she doubted herself, felt like an imposter, and wondered if this journey would collapse under the weight of her own success. But she had learned something important. Fear doesn't mean stop. It means keep going, carefully but courageously. So she adjusted. She learned how to say no when a project didn't align. She raised her prices. She created a client intake form to clarify goals before starting. She asked for contracts. She tracked invoices. She began treating her work like a business, not a hustle. She wasn't just freelancing anymore. She was building a brand. Hana decided it was time to give back. She remembered how lost she felt when she first entered the Telegram group. So she created her own space, a Telegram channel called Digital Steps with Hana. She posted beginner-friendly tips in Amharic, shared links to the courses that helped her, broke down marketing concepts in everyday language, and answered questions. Within weeks, hundreds of people had joined. Some were fresh graduates, some were mothers, some were students still in university. But they all shared one thing: a hunger to believe in their future again. Every week, Hana would go live using voice chat. She would tell her story, teach a skill, or invite someone from her network to share their journey. The channel became more than just information. It became a lifeline. People started messaging her saying, "I was about to give up, but your words reminded me to try again." Others sent screenshots of their first paid gigs. Some even called her Sister Hana, not because of age, but because of how her presence made them feel seen. Then came a day she would never forget. A local radio station in Hawasa reached out. They had heard about her growing presence online and wanted to feature her story in a youth entrepreneurship segment. She went nervously, expecting a short interview. But the hosts were fascinated. They let her speak at length, and her words were replayed across the region. strangers began to recognize her in town. Small business owners started asking for advice. Even teachers from her old school called to say they had heard her voice and were proud of what she had become. But for Hana, it wasn't about the recognition. It was about what it represented. The girl who once felt invisible was now helping others feel visible. The girl who couldn't find a job had created her own. The girl who sold tea to afford phone data was now earning in dollars and teaching others how to do the same. And yet, despite her growth, she stayed grounded. She still lived in the same family home. She still cooked dinner with her mother, fetched water with her little sister, and greeted the shopkeepers in her neighborhood with a smile. She had changed, yes, but she hadn't lost her roots. Now that Hana had planted her roots in the digital world, the growth began to multiply. Her small digital marketing services, which once started with messaging one or two strangers on Telegram, became a registered business with clients across Ethiopia and even a few from abroad. She learned how to package her services into clear offers, helping small businesses build online presence, managing their social media pages, and creating simple but effective ads that actually brought in customers. What made her stand out wasn't just her degree, but her ability to understand people. She wasn't just a marketer, she was a listener, a helper, and people trusted her for that. She also started sharing what she had learned. At first, it was just a few posts in Telegram groups. Then came a YouTube channel. Nothing fancy, just her voice and slides. But her calm confidence drew in thousands of young Ethiopians. She taught what schools never taught: how to find clients online, how to brand yourself, how to price your service, how to talk customers. One of her videos, titled "How I Made 30,000 birr in 1 month from home," went viral across Ethiopian youth channels. Comments poured in from young people saying, "You gave me hope. I thought I had no future until I saw this. Please make more." But her impact didn't stop with education. She started a mentorship group. At first, it was 10 young women. Then it grew to 50, then 100. Hana would meet with them weekly online, guiding them with everything she knew: how to find a niche, how to use free tools, how to respond to difficult clients, how to believe in yourself even when nobody else does. These women began launching their own micro businesses, selling crafts, offering freelance design, teaching language online, starting TikTok channels, and more. Hana watched with quiet pride as her struggle had turned into a bridge for others. Her pain had become someone else's path. One of her mentees even said, "You're not just changing lives, Hana, you're changing generations." But the journey wasn't without pressure. As her following grew, so did expectations. Some called her lucky. Some accused her of exaggerating. Others doubted whether a poor girl from a forgotten town in Ethiopia could really do this. But Hana had already been through worse. She didn't have time to argue with small minds. Her work was proof, and she kept growing. She hired 2 assistants. Her income crossed 100,000 birr monthly. She got invited to speak at youth events in Addis Ababa, then universities, then on national television. Not because she had the best accent or the flashiest branding, but because her story was real. She was one of them, a village girl who didn't give up. One day, sitting in her tiny but vibrant home office, she received a message on LinkedIn. It was from a foreign marketing agency that had stumbled upon one of her YouTube videos. They were looking for local partners in Africa to expand their reach, and they had been especially impressed by her understanding of Ethiopian culture and consumer behavior. That single message led to a partnership deal that opened up her business to international clients and training programs. She remembered the days she used to walk barefoot to high school, the times she sat crying in the dark after job rejections, the nights she would fall asleep hungry but dreaming. And now here she was, helping her family, hiring others, and standing as a light for young people who were told to stop dreaming. Her father, who once couldn't afford bus fare, now sat proudly at events where his daughter was a keynote speaker. Her mother, who used to pray for a miracle, now watched her daughter become one. Hana often says in interviews, "I'm not special. I just didn't stop." That line has now become a phrase printed on hundreds of t-shirts sold through her new e-commerce brand for youth empowerment. She reinvests part of her income into training programs for rural girls, especially those who think education or tech is beyond them. Her story, now reaching over 1 million views across platforms, is not just about making money. It's about what's possible when someone believes there's more beyond survival. It's about refusing to settle for the fate the world hands you. Today, Hana's name is known not just in Ethiopia, but among the growing African digital entrepreneurship space. She continues to grow, learn, and give back. But if you ask her what she's most proud of, she doesn't mention the money, or the clients, or even the fame. She smiles and says, "I'm proud I didn't wait for someone to choose me. I chose myself, and that choice changed everything."